Have you ever looked at a woman you're interested in and wondered, who was she before she met me? And how much of that past still shapes who she is today? Before we go any further, do me a quick favor. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and commit to watching this video until the very end. Because what you're about to hear has the power to completely change how you understand women, relationships, and your own love life. Let me start with a story. There was a man, quiet, observant, not the type to interrogate or chase validation. He had learned the hard way that asking direct questions about a woman's past almost always backfires. Either she tells you what she thinks you want to hear, or she feels judged, cornered, or unsafe. And once that happens, the truth disappears behind carefully chosen words. So he stopped asking. Instead, he started watching. One evening, he sat across from a woman at a small cafe. The conversation was light, almost meaningless on the surface: coffee, work, a passing comment about music. But beneath that simplicity, he noticed something. When the topic of commitment casually came up, her tone shifted. Her posture tightened. She smiled, but it wasn't the same smile as before. It was rehearsed. In that moment, he learned more than any direct question could ever reveal. This is the core Stoic principle most men miss. People reveal their past through their present behavior, not through their words. A Stoic understands that truth leaks out naturally when you stop forcing it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that a person's character is revealed in what they do when they think no one is judging them. The same applies here. If you want to discover a woman's past without asking anything, you must become still, patient, and deeply observant. Watch how she reacts to silence. Most men fear silence. They rush to fill it with jokes, questions, reassurance. But silence is a mirror. When you become comfortable with it, people project themselves onto it. A woman who is at peace with her past will sit calmly in silence. A woman running from it will feel compelled to talk, explain, justify, or distract. Silence doesn't interrogate, but it invites confession. Notice how she speaks about men who are no longer in her life. Not what she says, but how she says it. Does she speak with bitterness, sarcasm, or emotional charge? That suggests unresolved experiences. Does she portray herself as the constant victim, with every ex being toxic, narcissistic, or crazy? A Stoic knows patterns matter more than stories. Where there is a pattern of chaos, there is often a history of poor boundaries. On the other hand, a woman who acknowledges mistakes, without drama, without blame, reveals maturity. Not perfection, maturity. Pay attention to her relationship with attention itself. A woman's past leaves fingerprints on how she seeks validation in the present. Does she need constant reassurance? Does she get uncomfortable when you don't immediately reply? Does she thrive on being watched, noticed, admired by many? Epictetus taught that dependence on external validation is a form of slavery. When someone cannot be at peace without attention, it often points to a past where attention was inconsistent, transactional, or weaponized. This isn't about judging her. It's about understanding what you're walking into. Observe how she handles boundaries. Boundaries are shaped by history. If she overshares deeply personal details early on, it may seem like honesty. But often it's familiarity mistaken for intimacy. A Stoic sees this clearly. Depth without time is not closeness, it's leakage. Conversely, if she respects your pace, doesn't push for emotional shortcuts, and allows connection to unfold naturally, it often reflects a past where she learned the value of patience and self-respect. Notice her relationship with accountability. When something small goes wrong, plans change. Misunderstandings arise. Does she take responsibility or does she deflect? Does she explain calmly or does she immediately justify, excuse, or counterattack? The past teaches people either responsibility or defensiveness. You don't need to ask what she's been through. Her reaction will tell you. Now here's where most men fail. They observe all of this, and then ignore it because of attraction. Stoicism is not emotional coldness. It is emotional discipline. It teaches you to see reality clearly without being dragged by desire. If you ignore red flags because she's different or she'll change with me, you're not being romantic, you're being reckless. Another quiet indicator is how she speaks about peace. Ask yourself, does her life feel calm? Or does it feel dramatic even when nothing is happening? People carry their past until they consciously lay it down. A turbulent past often creates a subconscious need for turbulence in the present. Calm can feel boring to those who are used to chaos. A Stoic man doesn't try to fix this. He simply notices. Watch how she treats people who can do nothing for her. Service staff, strangers, people without status. Past experiences shape empathy. A woman who is kind without performance, without needing credit, often comes from a place of internal security. Cruelty, impatience, or entitlement often reflect wounds that were never properly healed. Again, this is not condemnation. It's clarity. One of the most powerful tools is time. Time exposes what words hide. Consistency reveals history. A woman can act for days, sometimes weeks, but over time her default settings return. Emotional reactions, coping mechanisms, conflict styles. All of these are echoes of what she has lived through. The Stoics never rushed judgment, but they also never rushed attachment. And here's the most important part. Your behavior determines how much of her truth you'll see. If you chase, perform, or seek approval, she will show you a version designed to keep you hooked. If you remain grounded, calm, self-contained, and purpose-driven, she will relax into who she actually is. People don't reveal themselves to those they feel are trying to extract something from them. They reveal themselves to those who are not dependent on the outcome. This is why Stoic men appear magnetic without effort. They don't pry. They don't demand. They don't rush. They allow reality to unfold, and when it does, it speaks loudly. You don't need to ask about her past relationships. You don't need to ask about her trauma. You don't need to ask how many times she's been hurt. Her emotional reactions, boundaries, accountability, relationship with attention, comfort with silence, and capacity for peace already contain the answers. The question is, are you calm enough to see them? Most men aren't. They're too busy trying to impress, fix, or be chosen. Stoicism flips the script. You don't try to discover her past. You allow it to reveal itself while you remain steady. And if you've stayed with me this far, this is why I asked you to watch the full video. Because this understanding doesn't just change how you see women, it changes how you see yourself. When you stop asking questions from insecurity and start observing from strength, your entire love life shifts. Have you ever noticed how in modern American dating culture, people talk endlessly about transparency, honesty, and being open, yet somehow the truth feels harder to find than ever? Everyone says they want authenticity, but the moment you ask the wrong question, walls go up, especially when it comes to a woman's past. This is where most men in the US go wrong. They believe clarity comes from conversation alone, but Stoic wisdom teaches something very different. The past is not hidden in words, it's encoded in behavior. In the United States, dating moves fast. Texting replaces talking. Labels come late. Emotional intimacy often arrives before emotional stability. And in this environment, a Stoic man doesn't interrogate, he observes. Think about this. In American culture, freedom is prized above all else. Independence, choice, personal history, these are sensitive territories. When you ask direct questions about a woman's past, you unintentionally trigger defense mechanisms shaped by years of social conditioning. She doesn't hear curiosity. She hears judgment. So the Stoic does something radical. He removes pressure, and when pressure disappears, truth begins to surface. Watch how she behaves when there is no emotional chase. In the US dating scene, attention is currency. Likes, messages, reactions, they're everywhere. A woman's past experiences with men directly influence how she responds when that attention suddenly becomes scarce. If she becomes anxious, restless, or seeks validation elsewhere, that tells you something, not about her morality, but about her conditioning. A past filled with inconsistency creates a present addicted to reassurance. A Stoic man doesn't react to this. He simply notes it. Pay attention to how she speaks about freedom. In American dating, freedom can mean many things. For some, it's emotional maturity. For others, it's avoidance dressed as empowerment. When a woman frames commitment as limitation rather than choice, you're seeing echoes of past experiences where attachment felt unsafe. Again, no questions required. Observe how she handles emotional conflict. In the US, conflict avoidance is common. Ghosting replaced confrontation. Silence replaced accountability. When something small goes wrong, does she disappear? Does she emotionally withdraw instead of addressing the issue? That behavior didn't start with you. It was learned. Notice her relationship with masculinity. Does she respect calm strength or does she test it? Many American men confuse being agreeable with being safe. But a woman shaped by chaotic past relationships often feels unsettled by stability. She may poke, provoke, or create emotional friction just to feel something familiar. The Stoic doesn't rise to the bait. He understands that peace can feel threatening to those who have never lived in it. Another powerful indicator is how she treats time. In US culture, being busy is a badge of honor. But busyness can also be a shield. Does she make space naturally? Or does she keep you in a perpetual state of scheduling uncertainty? People who fear emotional closeness often hide behind packed calendars and vague plans. This isn't strategy. It's self-protection. Watch how she responds to your boundaries. American dating advice often tells men to set boundaries, but very few teach you how to observe the reaction. A woman's past will show itself the moment you calmly say no, slow things down, or refuse to over-invest early. Respect signals security. Resistance signals unresolved history. And here's the Stoic truth most U.S. dating coaches won't tell you. You don't need to know every detail of her past to know if it will disrupt your future. The past announces itself through patterns: how she manages emotions, how she handles attention, how she responds to calm, how she treats consistency, how she reacts when you don't chase. All of these are living evidence. In American society, people are taught to curate identities. Social media reinforces this. Profiles, captions, stories, everything is crafted. But behavior is expensive to fake long-term. Sooner or later, the mask slips. Time does the questioning for you. The Stoic man stays present, not paranoid. He doesn't assume the worst. He simply refuses to romanticize what he hasn't yet verified through experience. And most importantly, he doesn't try to save anyone. This is where U.S. men often self-destruct. The hero complex. The fixer mindset, believing that patience alone can rewrite someone's emotional history. Stoicism rejects this illusion. You are responsible for your choices, not for repairing someone else's past. When you embody this mindset, something fascinating happens. Women stop performing. They stop oversharing. They stop posturing. They relax into who they actually are. And that version, calm or chaotic, tells you everything you need to know. So if you're navigating modern dating in the U.S., remember this. The strongest position is not curiosity mixed with insecurity. It is calm awareness rooted in self-respect. You don't need to ask. You don't need to dig. You don't need to demand honesty. You need patience, presence, and the courage to walk away when reality speaks. Because in the end, Stoicism isn't about controlling others. It's about seeing clearly and choosing wisely.